And this is Biz Check. On the first hour of this show, we shall be looking at the real estate market. Oh yeah, and I want to take you to the Super Bowl because I want to take you through some very interesting statistics. Just come along. These are the numbers, this is according to statista.com. And I want to take you back to 2017. Look at this. The residential market, has always dominated the real estate market. In 2017, the total value of the sector was about 477.96 billion Kenya shillings. And let me show you these. The residential sector accounted for 419 billion Kenya shillings, while the commercial real estate sector was about 58.66 billion Kenya shillings. And let's now leapfrog all the way up to 2022. Let me first of all take you to 2020. Look at the numbers here. The real estate, the residential, was also dominating the sector at about 614.60 billion Kenya shillings, while the commercial real estate sector was at 69.2 billion Kenya shillings. There is a reason why I wanted you to concentrate on 2020. Because remember, this was a year the COVID-19 was biting real hard. And then 2021, there was a slump. And the market was valued at 653.29 billion shillings. Remember, this was the time of the infamous lockdowns. There was no business that was taking place in the country. And so the market had a huge slump. 2022, all the projects that were in the pipeline, they were under all the estates that were under construction, they roared back to life. And the figures went high by 691.46 billion Kenya shillings. And then in 2023, that was last year, there was also another slump. The market was valued at 678.16 billion shillings. You may want to ask yourself, why did this happen? Because this is what we call in financial lingo market correction. The market was correcting itself. And that's why the market somehow now stabilized. In 2024, the market is expected to grow to 697 billion Kenya shillings. This is almost at the same level as 2022 and almost at the same level as 2020. But I also want you to focus on 2028. This market will reach 811 billion Kenya shillings. And who is going to dominate these? Of course, your guess is as good as mine. Residential real estate will account for 715 billion Kenya shillings, while the commercial real estate sector will be at it's 95.99 billion shillings. Remember, these are projections, these are estimates. The market may autocorrect itself. So, what are these numbers talking about? I told you that I have a team of experts in the house. We shall be discussing these numbers, and of course, last night, the National Assembly passed the Affordable Housing Bill. What is this bill expected to do, or how is the market expected to react? Let me introduce you to the guest. Dan Owiti is the General Manager at Ameristar Real Estate. He's joining me on the set. Thank you very much indeed, Dan, for your time. And next to Dan, we have George Mboro, who is the CEO of Mizizihomes here in Nairobi. Thank you very much indeed, George. But I want to start with Dan. When you look at these numbers, what conclusions do you make?
Thank you for having me, O'Brien. It's a pleasure to be here and for the whole crew. The projections are good because, as you see, immediately after COVID, the market is coming back. We have seen a lot of real estate companies even coming up. Yeah. Even in Ameristar, during the COVID, we had to take a little bit of a slow pace. But now we are receiving a lot of requests, a lot of inquiries. Now, technically, when the uptake of residential comes up, then you realize that economy becomes stable. Because one thing is important in life. Yeah. That is having a home.
Having a home.
Having a home. That's one of the basics that you can ever achieve as a human being.
Very good.
Yes.
And I also want to hear from you because we need to take a short break.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you very much. And the statistics, it says that numbers never lie. which means if the demand and the value of the income that the country is getting from affordable housing and housing real estate in general, it means that for sure the agenda of affordable housing is something that has been long overdue, and now we can start getting even analysis which are factual figures. And for us as Miziziafric Homes Limited, this is something that we have been talking about, that we have a sleeping giant in affordable housing, because it is not only good for people to own homes, but it is also one of the biggest earners of foreign currencies.
Very good.
The remittances that were remitted to go to affordable housing over that period from Corona has been increasing.
Good.
Yeah.
We will be continuing with this conversation. Our conversation this morning revolves around the growth of the real estate sector in Kenya. What are the dynamics that are going to drive this sector? Is it going to be, are we likely to see a shift whereby we have traditionally the sector has been driven by the residential real estate? Are we also likely to see a shift in this game? I told you that the people we have on the set is Dan Owiti. He's the general manager, Amerista Real Estate, and George Mburu, the CEO of Mizizihomes. I want to go back to you. And I want to hear from you. I mean, when you look at the 10 years of the real estate industry, the residential market has dominated this sector. Are we likely to see a change?
Definitely not a huge one, but there's a slight of a shift. This is because immediately after COVID and during COVID, a lot of people, when working from home became a norm, then people began to view their homes as offices. And this has actually shifted, and it has changed. If you look at commercial lettings right now, you will be surprised that there is a lot of houses and offices to let. You go to places like Garden City, you'll find. You go to Sarit Center, you'll find there's still a percentage of commercial spaces to be let. Why? Because most of these people have actually got an alternative. Now, also come to embrace the fact that we have a lot of online businesses coming on right now. So a lot of people can easily operate from their warehouses straight to the customer. Some can also be able to produce from their own garage and straight to the customer. So this is what is going to bring a shift, but not a huge one, because by the end of the day, businesses still need official presence. They still need to have a legal office, which is by the law, and they still need to be registered as an office. So the shift will be slight, but not as big. Now, coming back to the residential. Residential houses are coming up so in various places right now. You go to Kileleshwa, you'll still find an upsurge of the same. You go to Runda, you are still going to find an upsurge of the same. And if you get out of Nairobi, like for instance where we have our first project, that is Genesis Gardens in Kisaju. The last projection for Kajiado was at about 2 million. That is by 2019. Between 2019 and now, you probably have gotten a few changes here and there. And you realize that a lot of people will still be able to live in Kisaju, live in Kajiado, and come back to work in Nairobi, courtesy of the expressway. So this will actually also bring the change of people shifting from living within the Nairobi area to living outside the Nairobi area and still being able to come back and do business in Nairobi. Yes.
George, I want to hear from you. I mean, you see, we have hundreds of real estate projects in Kenya, but we haven't seen, you know, a drop in the cost of houses in this country. Why is this the case? I mean, you'd expect the market to do a bit of correction there.
Yeah, thank you very much. You'll appreciate the fact that in the past there have been a lot of mistrust between the investors and the developers. And this is because most of the investors have invested, but at the end of the day they have not received the end of their bargain. So you find that there's a lot of mistrust when it comes to the home ownership, this issue of home ownership and investment into real estate. And that is something that we have really been talking as Miziziafric Homes Limited, because we have noted there's a gap when it comes to the the law because people are not protected sufficiently. But at the end of the day, you also find that because of that, most of the customers also, because there is a lot of fear, at times they also they are not in a position to make the part of the bargain by paying frequently as it should. So you find that the relationship between the customers and the developers, at times it's not as good. And this is because there is no any guidelines when it comes to the law. And right now I'm happy because the way the government is going, real estate is also being seen as one of ways of bringing funds to the country in terms of remittances. And we are believing that moving forward, even banks, because another issue has been an issue of giving loans. It has been also been very difficult for banks to lend people who want to buy homes. You find that the rate at which the mortgage uptake in our country is at, it's very low. And that is why you find that bodies like KMRC, they have money that they have been given by World Bank and others to lend at a low interest rate, but still it is not dropping down to the user now. Now what we need to correct is the issue of that mistrust and also the issue of financing, so that more people are able to get the mortgages, because at the end of the day we have seen the demand is there, and also people are willing to work because we have so many young people that are looking for jobs. The workforce here in our country, materials are there, so in terms of cost it should not be a hindrance at all, because we have local materials, we have quarries, so getting those materials that we use for construction should not be a problem. What was missing is the framework for people to have that kind of engagement, which I feel we as Miziziafric Homes Limited, despite the ups and downs, we have tried to keep focus, and actually we can be taken as a guinea pig of somebody who did it while there was not so much support and not so much people are talking about, but right now we have something that we can show. Yeah.
And I like the fact that, I mean, you see, when you look at the Kenyan real estate industry, there are more than 350 players in this market, and that tells you that there is so much opportunity. And so how then do you bring about, synergies between the real estate players and the government so that the two can work together to the benefit of the consumer? Dan?
First of all, I really want to put this across that during my years in real estate.
How many years have you been in business?
About 7 years right now.
7 years now, yeah.
The government has tried to play its part because the government has given enough support in terms of legislation, in terms of being able to make sure that the industry is run as well as it should be. In as much as, yes, there has been that mistrust, and you can never lack a few people and a few organizations which are not quite legit and are trying to scam people out of their money because in the name of real estate. However, as you move forward, you realize that by the end of the day, Kenyans now have become also very cautious. And now they're very, very keen whenever they're dealing with anyone, any land matters, because they have learned their lessons. Now, as you come into being able to process your land paperwork or your home owner's paperwork, you realize that at first people would come to the real estate companies and not do any serious homework on the background. We have also dealt with clients who will not even want to engage a lawyer because he thinks that paying for that legal fee, paying for that professional fee will actually hurt him. And yet this should be the person who should be able to help him check and also mitigate in case of any other losses in terms of future home ownership. Now, when we come into that, as Ameristar, one thing that we do with our customers is we let everything out for them and we allow them to work with their own professionals. As we go into land purchase, we make sure that we've done all the due diligence. And even as our clients come to us, we ask them these questions and we tell them, do you want to engage your own professional? Do you want to engage your own lawyer? Or are you okay to deal with our own lawyer. Now that makes it comfortable for the client to have these options. Number two, the other issue that has been also giving real estate a lot, and that actually played a bigger role in the last few years, was the fact that it came out clearly that there were even some properties which were financed by banks, and yet the paperwork was not legit. Now, the question which came was what happened during that process. So the banks have also worked their way hard right now to be able to clear these misunderstandings and to be able to correct this. Going forward, I think our way of working is to make sure that the client has all the options. The client also is given an opportunity to do his due diligence and be able to follow up on the project and be able to take ownership of the process as you start investing in your home. That is the advice I can give to any customer, any person who wants now to invest in real estate.
Yeah, and let's also face it, I mean, it's not just small companies or newcomers who have had challenges in this industry. We have also seen established companies like Saiton, like Suraya, you know, they all got into financial headwinds, and they still have many projects, you know, that are pending, and they still have a number of court cases, you know, going on. And this has somehow eroded the confidence of investors in this industry. And so then how do we bring back the confidence of investors in the real estate industry in Kenya?
Yeah, thank you very much. You find that at the end of the day, as long as you're into business, you must engage the professionals, which is very crucial. But you find that the mistrust at times is caused because of unnecessary competition. For example, we as Miziziafric Homes Limited, we have had our good number of employees, but after working for a while, they feel that they can also start their own venture. So at the end of the day, you find that a company to get to a certain level is very difficult because there is a lot of internal competition within the company itself, because you find that some of the people maybe are attracted by the luxury they see. They feel that this is a get rich quick. So you find that somebody may get into that sphere without realizing that at the end of the day, you want to deliver a certain need to a number of customers. So you find that the companies themselves at times, they actually destroy the whole ecosystem. But the good thing is that at the end of the day, the customer here is the king, and we are looking at the demand.
And in all these, the customer is the one who is losing.
Yeah, yes. The customer is the one who is losing. And for sure, we need to seal those loopholes, because you find that when those companies go down, for example, you have mentioned a few, there's a lot of loss when it comes to the economy, because you find some of the projects, they stall. You find that it doesn't mean there was no money that was put there. There was money that was put there, but you find that at some point, the project stalled. Why? Because maybe the developer maybe misappropriated the funds, maybe they underquoted the prices, or maybe the customers themselves are not also doing their part, because this is a relationship. When you are purchasing a house, this is a relationship that you are building with that particular developer. And if that particular developer is not looking at your end goal, you may actually miss the point, both of you. Because the customer, at some point, if you do not pay, you find that even legally, you may not be protected because you also defaulted on the contract. So you find that the relationship is something that it's a 360 degree. Everybody has to play, has to play their part. So this issue of blame game that has been there, and it has actually been started by the developers themselves, without even giving solutions to the problem, should come to an end. The blame game.
And one concept that has been really affected by this is the off-plan. Whereby you sell the concept to the people, they invest their money hoping that you're going to implement this project, and then somewhere along the way the money dries up, the project is abandoned, and it is left to rot. Is it high time we rethink about this concept of off-planning?
If you ask me, I will say no. I think the best that can happen is to get an off plan, and develop it to your satisfaction. Because most of the time, you invest in an already built house. You are still going to make changes to suit your taste. And sometimes these changes that you need to make could be structural. And eventually you might end up interfering with the durability of the house.
But isn't that, a better option rather than, investing my hard-earned money into a project that will never take off or that will stall halfway?
That is why I'm saying, if you make an off-plan better and you are able to achieve...
How do you make it better?
Then that is the greatest you can do.
How do
Number
you make it
one
better?
is just being able, as a company, I will talk on the company part. As a company, you must be very clear on your blueprints. Very clear, and try to work with the timelines. Because the moment you miss the timelines, you have disadvantaged the client. For instance, if a client was investing in your plan and expecting to get into that house in 2 years' time, and the house is not there 3 years down the line. You see, the investment is stalled, and the client is still paying rent wherever he or she is, and probably the client had taken a loan. Now, this is now a double tragedy. The loan has to be serviced, and he still has to pay rent. However, for a situation where a business person and a company is able to keep with the timelines and update the clients accordingly, and also seek the client's advice, because most of the time you get into real estate and you'll get into development and you think you know it all, and yet there could be 10 or 5 of your clients who are so good in something like that, who can actually be able to help you even finish it. We've seen projects where the project comes to you, is almost stalling, but the clients themselves come in and they say, listen, we are not going to let this, and we are going to make sure that this thing works. And that has always happened. So the problem comes in when the developer decides to become know-it-all and also does not give clear information to the clients. And that is what has been not helping us at all. It is high time that we work with our clients, road by road, route by route, and even if when things do not go your way and probably you are meeting financial constraint because of maybe you not having gotten the right BQs for your project, it is not wrong to be able to bring your clients on board and explain to them that, yes, I missed the target because I costed the project at least, say, 200 million, but right now with the changes in the government, changes in the legislation, changes in imports, I cannot be able to deliver that. I probably would need some help. I know of banks which will come in and tell you, okay, we can give you some support and help you finish this at this way, and you have an understanding with them.
And I understand these days, it's becoming very difficult for banks to finance an off-plan project. Is it true?
Yeah. Yeah, thank you very much. To some extent, I would support his sentiments and also add that what we need to do, I've been in the off-plan sphere for the longest. Actually, I think Mizizihomes Limited is the oldest, or if not one of the oldest off-plan players that are still thriving. Now, the problem comes at the land purchase. You find that off-plan, sometimes, the way it normally operates right now, you put the customers in all one basket. Whether it is a customer who is well financially, they're financially capable, and somebody who is not financially capable, which means the person who has the cash may have to wait for the person who does not have the cash. Now here the problem comes when there's that stagnation and stalling, like my brother has said. And you find that, like as Mizizi, we have come with a concept of called buy, we build, where we separate these two issues. Start by giving the customer the title.
The title deed. The
title deed. At least they have secured the parcel of land. Then when it comes to construction, make sure as a developer you have made sure that the common amenities, the roads, the electricity is there, there is a borehole or water if you plan to give them that extra service. You make sure that you upgrade the plots themselves. Then you issue everybody with their own title. This is something that we are giving as free advice, especially to upcoming developers, Because even us, when we were starting, we were very enthusiastic that everything is going to be, as we say in economics, ceteris paribus. When you are starting, you have a lot of sometimes theory, which makes you sometimes not to do some calculations. You assume everything will be constant. If it is somebody you have agreed they will pay within 1 year, they will do that. You assume everything constant.
You don't do a risk analysis of the project.
There's no risk analysis. You don't expect there will be corona. You don't expect the dollar at some point will go.
Of course, nobody would expect corona.
Yeah. There was elections. You don't know which side will win. You don't know the policies they will come with. To mitigate all these risks to the developer especially, yeah? And also to the client, a win-win situation. Subdivide the land. Give the customer the title. Tell them this is what we project to do for the whole estate. You come up with a master plan. This is what we plan to do for the whole estate. But as much as we are doing it together, everybody has their own individual role to play. Yes, we are doing it as a group, but again, everybody has to play their part. So if everybody has their title, if somebody does not have the money to construct, you find that they can even take their sweet time. But if somebody is ready and they want to occupy very fast, also that's another route. So this is like a marrying of land selling and construction.
Help us understand these. Because when you walk through the Kenyan real estate industry, I mean, you will see many unfinished or incomplete projects. From the Alma by Saiton in Ruaka to Suraya property in Loresho, you know, to Ekeza, Rithi. I mean, you do not want to tell me that all these projects have stalled because of indiscipline or financial mismanagement. What other factor has contributed to these sad state of affairs in this industry, Dan?
Thank you. Looking at them, a big name like Saiton, even to us it was a surprise. But you can't also say that someone with the intelligence of Dande could have just let that go.
Or the management of
Or
Saiton.
the management, yeah.
Yeah, because it was top brains.
Yes, and I loved the project. I loved the concept. Saiton itself is a great organization. Even if you look at the structure and what they're doing, it's a great organization. But over and above that, I think sometimes we as developers also bite too much.
More than you can chew.
More than we can chew. Because by the time someone has about 6, 7, or 8 projects running at the same time,
and these are multi-billion shillings projects.
Real estate needs huge, huge cash flow. It is a cash-intensive kind of business. It's not like any other business that you may think you will get the cash coming as you wish. No, you must be very, very strategic. So some of them, if you look keenly, you realize that there are probably multiple projects which are demanding, and probably there could have been somewhere which they did not consider very well. Now, if you look at that and you take that risk mitigation and you concentrate on 1 or 2 projects, you realize that you'll be able to finish them. Now, coming back to Ameristar, just to give you a little background of Ameristar. Ameristar is a real estate company fully registered in Kenya. We have a project, our maiden project, which is what we are focusing right now in Kisaju. The project has 50 by 100 plots, which are now, we are putting them into the market. The project is a fully controlled project. It's a mixed-use kind of project where we have common areas, we have roads, we have water, we have electricity. And like what my brother said, we have titles. And we went further and we said, we don't want our clients to start walking around looking for house designs, looking from, going from one architect to another, from one lawyer to another. We brought in the house designs. We brought in professionals like architects. We brought in every consultant that they would want to work with. Now, this gives the client ease of mind in terms of one is able to get his title immediately, and the next question after client has had his title is, when can I start construction?
Yeah.
And the title gives the client to the authority to start construction. Number two, as we walk in this road, we know that not all clients will be able to have the cash, like my brother said. So what happens? We went ahead and we spoke to several banks, and we did everything that they needed us to do in terms of providing them with all the paperwork. So you walk into their branches, and you'll find someone, you talk to them, like if you walk to ABC branch, and you talk to them about Ameristar, they will tell you they know us. They know our titles are genuine. They participated in part of it. You go to Rafiki Microfinance in Kitengela, they know us. So this has given our clients easy time for them not to start scouting, but rather the scouting has already been done with them. And this will help them in terms of getting financing and being able to do their houses. So these are some of the factors that we believe will be able to spur a lot of interest and be able to help our clients.
And restore the confidence of investors.
Exactly.
You know, something else that I have also seen in this industry, I have a small project that has been ongoing you know, for some time now. And this market is highly volatile in terms of prices. Today, you buy, you know, a bag of cement at 800 shillings. 3 weeks down the line, the same bag will cost you 850 shillings. Today, you buy steel at maybe the Y15. It will be maybe 920 shillings. 3 weeks down the line, the same will cost you 1,000 shillings. So when you're planning for an off-plan project, how then do you factor in these oscillation of prices so that you ensure that you don't get into losses?
Sure. Yeah, that's true. To be sincere in any business, not leave alone even the real estate, any business, there is a lot of volatility. And that is because, as we now...
I don't know of any other industry where volatility in terms of pricing is as high as this industry.
Yeah.
Because, for example, I mean, look, for example, the dairy industry.
Sure.
You know, a liter of milk, you know, it's not going to go up, you know, with crazy numbers in the next 3 weeks.
No.
But when you look at the real estate industry, the construction sector, you get numbers that shock you.
As Bonadan had said, you find that this is a cash flow intensive kind of an investment, which means, like for example, every weekend when we are having our construction, we have our laborers. You have to pay them on a weekly basis. There's a lot of high turnover of cash. So you find that you can see the volatility because this is the fact. This is a fact. You are not constructing a house within 1 month. For example, for us, we give like a period of 1 year. Within 1 year.
For a project?
Yeah, for a
from
project.
From start to finish? From
start to finish. In 1 year.
Isn't that a long time?
It's a long time. So much has happened. So definitely, somebody has to feel that pinch. And that is why, like my brother had said,
if a project... aren't you likely to run into cost overruns? Yeah. Because, I mean, the beauty of a project is you get in fast, you move out fast. So if you delay for 12 months...
That's why as Miziziafric Homes Limited, we have come with that concept you are calling buy, we build. First of all, secure the piece of land. Then we give you a BQ that you have to look within a period of 6 months. At least within a period of 6 months, you don't expect so much fluctuations. Within 6 months. So if you have the piece of land, even the bank will come and give you money and actually give you a grace period of 6 months. Even before you now start paying loan, already the house is complete. You understand? We are trying to reduce the timelines. And when you reduce the timelines, you can only do that from the foundation. And the foundation is at the point of title. So if everybody have their title and we have agreed as the developer or your contractor, because it doesn't have to be us, you can actually even give an independent contractor who is also registered. And you have to go with timelines. Let's say this mansionette, this bungalow, how long do you need it to be constructed? We can tell you in 6 months, we can have done that house, we have the ready cash. So you can tell us, right now I have let's say $1 million or 2 million, what can you do with that? We can tell you we can do the foundation. And by so doing, we will not put pressure to the customer in terms of getting cash, and also the risk will not be on the client, on the developer, because this is a risk that the developers take, and some of those houses that you are mentioning, maybe they had started the project in, let's say, maybe 2010, when a bag of cement was 300 or 400. Right now, it's actually double. You find that it is not possible. And you had your contracts with the buyer. You had told them you are going to sell to you at this affordable price of, let's say, 3 million. But right now, to deliver that, it cost 6 million. So you find that now convincing a buyer that the shilling of yesterday is not as the same as the shilling of today, it's not an easy task. So you find that is why also there is a lot of stagnation. So we need to be very clear, and with timelines, especially with timelines, we need to be very clear from both sides of the coin, both the developer as well as the client.
As a client.
Yeah.
Dan, I also want to hear things. I mean, we have also seen a situation whereby, you know, a company gets into a project. Let's, for example, use Amerista. You embark on a project, and then somewhere along the process, you get into financial headwinds. It may not be because of your financial mismanagement or indiscipline or siphoning of funds, but because of one or two things that were never planned for during when the project was starting. But the moment investors discover that you are facing delays or financial challenges, they move to court. And so the project is stopped.
Yeah.
And then you engage in litigations that will go for years. And this will definitely affect this project. How can they, how then should that be handled so that you avoid panicky investors, you know, pursuing legal cases that will take forever to be concluded?
Thank you once again. It is the right of the investors to move to court when they feel that the promise has not been delivered, because they have a contractual obligation with you. It's also your obligation as a developer to try to run within the timelines that you promised your clients. But also we have issues which are without us, which we cannot be able to control. So when these issues happen, like the example my brother used of, let's say, change of political leadership in the country, you know, a big number of clients will not be able to invest in property just during the election or prior to election or a few months to election. Because everyone will be waiting, they will have that concept of wait and see what will happen. Now, if that happens and yet you had timelines to achieve, it means that you have to go back to the drawing board and readjust your plan. And if you go back to your drawing board and readjust your plans yourself without informing them, then you are going to have a lot of battles.
You've been breach of contract.
Agreed. Now, I'm not going to share, to mention the name, but I have been involved in a company which had stalled for quite some time. But one thing that this company used to do was to give regular, practical updates to the clients and listening to those clients who had issues. So what am I saying? Simple. Let's walk this journey with the clients. If I am having financial issues and I need the gap to be closed, there are options. One, I can look for a financial partner. I can take equity. I can take another person to be able to help me finish the project. Or go back to the clients and explain to them. And that will be good if your books are also good. Because if you came to me and the amount of money received vis-a-vis the amount of money you've spent on the project and the estimates do not marry, then I don't want to be part of you. But if your books are good and the clients can be able to verify that, yes, this is what has been promised, this is what has been done, the consultants can be able also to confirm the same. A few and some of the clients will actually walk with you the journey. Some of them will ask you a simple question: what do we do to help us finish this project? Some will give you cash flow. Some will actually be able to give you some cash injection. Some will advise you on the companies or entities that can be able to help you finish. But the biggest issue, like I said, was a company that knows it all. And then you stagnate, and then you cannot tell them because you knew it all, and then now you're stuck. In every relationship, even from the government to us, the people, they have to carry a survey. They have to meet the people and talk to people and be able to understand what their needs are and how best we want this solution to be given to us. If you come to affordable housing, some people say that affordable housing is going to bring us private entities down. The reverse is true. It's going to help us. Because now a client has an option. He sees what the government is doing. He can be able to know what the government is doing. And the government is also giving them the costings. Because the government is telling them this house, you can only be able to afford it at this amount of money. And then I am here telling you that, yes, I'm also having this product, and you can be able to have it at this amount of money, but with some more flexibility, one, and two, you can be able even to make it suit what you want by the end of the day.
Very well.
Yes.
And I like the fact that you're bringing in the concept of, or the conversation around the affordable housing, and this is where I was going next. Yesterday we saw the National Assembly, passing the affordable housing bill, which now goes to the Senate for debate before it is transition to the presidency. And there has been fears that the government is now getting into this sector in a big way. And the beauty about the government is that it has the finances, it has lands, it has money, it has the expertise. And it's bringing competition to the private sector, where some of the players are not well financed. They don't have the space the government has. They do not have the expertise that the government has. And so it is likely to elbow out some of the players. Do you agree with those fears?
No. Thank you very much. One thing you'll appreciate with the government is that the work of the government is to create the blueprint. And like in Kenya, we have our blueprint of, as a country, Vision 2030. And if you have been very keen, this is something that the Jubilee administration borrowed heavily. And it is also something that the Kenya Kwanza government has borrowed heavily. If you look at their manifestos, they were talking about the three basic needs, which is food, shelter, and clothing. But they were putting it in such a way: affordable housing, agriculture, healthcare, school, the basic things, the social things. And we as business people, it is high time we agree to the fact that sometimes we look at customers as if they are just into business. For them, that is like you find that somebody has brought their savings. For them, it is a big deal. But sometimes as business people, we do not look at the social aspect. And the social aspect is that this customer is looking for a shelter for their children. They are looking at how they can shelter their house. They stop paying rent, because rent, we know, again, keeps on going up and down, and there is so much issues with rent, you understand. So we need to look at now this thing the way the government is looking at it. Housing is not just a matter of a business. It is a matter of a social issue, which we can actually say a social justice, because owning a home is a right in our constitution. So you find that we also need to look at this thing from a broader perspective, so that we do not look at it just as a form of a business. The government is coming and it will lay the blueprint and the structures. The structures, I mean, like for example, if I may give an example of a school. Most of the schools we have in Kenya, they are government owned, isn't it? But you also find there are also private schools which are doing very well. Same case with hospitals.
Yes.
There are hospitals that are government owned and actually national government.
Actually, majority of hospitals in Kenya are
But you also have private hospitals which are doing very well. So it's not a matter of competition. It's a matter of what gap are we feeling. The gap we are feeling here is people don't have houses. A majority of people don't have houses. Somebody works paying rent for all their life. They go into retirement, and all they can show is where they used to live. And again, they go back to rural area without having any form of an investment.
And I like the fact that you have used the analogy of the health industry, and it is true. Majority of health facilities in Kenya are owned by the government, but we also have the private sector coming in a very strong way, and some of the leading hospitals, not only here in Kenya but in Africa, they are in the hands of private players. And so then in this sector, the real estate industry, then how do you create that synergy? How do you create that win-win situation? And how do you create that complementary role of the government and the private sector in helping achieve houses, for people who do not have houses, Mr. Dan?
Like I said, the affordable housing is actually going to complement what we are doing, because my first word was the client has been given an option. When you went to buy your nice suit, you had options, but you went to a specific person who probably has supplied you with the suits before. And that does not mean that he had the best, or does not mean that the other people did not have the best, but there is what you needed, and he was able to meet that need at that particular time. Now you come to housing. When you come to housing, the structure of affordable housing is made in such a way that by the end of the day, it's a very long-term project to be achieved. It has also not so realized its ups and downs, because it has not taken off fully for the government to be able to give us an analysis and say that, yes, we've been able to do it, we've been able to achieve it without 1, 2, 3. But looking at it as a private investor, the moment the government puts on the affordable housing and the houses start coming up, then the investor is going to be given an option. One, to be able to go the specific way of the government. Two, to be able to work with me in being able to achieve his dreams. Now, if you look at them, most of them are going to be flats. A majority of them in Nairobi are going to be flats. You go to the one in Pangani, yes. Those are flats. You go to I think I've driven to about 3, which are basically flats. What of a person who doesn't need a flat? A person who wants his own small compound. A person who wants to have his parking garage. A person who is looking at an environment that he can feel private. That person will walk to me, or he'll walk to a private investor somewhere else and be able
people
to
who
have
are
that
looking
chat.
for like bungalows.
Exactly. So these are options that we as private investors look at in that paperwork and see where we can be able to fill in. Now, you come to commercial amenities in our control project. You realize that if this person is if one investor is able to do the two, is able to have his house and do his private business in the same area where he's living, this adds more to what he's able to do, because when you come to the structure of affordable housing, if you say that it's going to be fully residential, then it means that if you want to run your private business, you'll have to drive somewhere else. What if you came to Amerista, where I'm going to have a commercial area for you, and your house to your office could just be a walking distance?
Yeah.
You separate the two of your private life and your business, but you're still in the same area.
Yes.
That means that there is comfort. You can offer your services even late. You can now work late. You can go to your office earlier than is anticipated, and you can now be able to be more efficient, rather than also waste maybe 2-3 hours on traffic every day trying to reach the office.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good. Because we have to wind up now, George, I want to give you a minute. So that you can give us like a hint as to where this market, this market is going, and what will impact this market going forward.
Yeah, thank you very much. One thing that we have noted that the people that are living in the diaspora right now, they are looking at investing back at home, and that is something that the government is also encouraging for our young people. They go out, they work hard, but at the end of the day, they invest back at home. That is something that we can't overemphasize as Miziziafric Homes Limited. Let us invest back at home, and that is why people like us, we are here to make sure that you get your end of the bargain. And we are in this market, and where we get an opportunity, where we can give it a win-win situation, we'll always try to do that. That's why we have brought the new concept by Mizizihomes Limited called Buy We Build. And we are not only targeting people to have homes, we're also looking at a form of an investment, because once you get that house ready in a gated estate, you can be assured within 2-3 years you can actually multiply or double your investment in 2. We have seen people who have bought houses with us as Mizizihomes Limited, 3.5 million, 4 million, right now they are going 7 million, 7.5, 8 million within a span of less than 3 years. So this is not only a form of a home ownership, it's also a form of an investment.
Good.
Yeah.
Done. Looking at the market right now, I see a lot of energy towards residential, and residential come offices, because if you go even to the designs of the houses right now being approved by several county governments, I was at the county government of Mavoko the other day, and you'll see that a lot of designs have incorporated their offices to be able to be within their residential. So real estate, like we always say, is not a business that you want to wait and invest. It's an investment that you do today. And like my brother said, someone did a house at 3.5 and now it's at 7. If he did not do it at 3.5, he would be now spending twice the same amount of money. So the advice in real estate is it's a business that whenever you want to invest, you invest now. Now is the time to come and invest with Ameristar. Now is the time to be able to pick up your property. Now is the time for us now to start working with you that route.
Very good. Yeah. Dan and George, thank you very much for being with us this morning, and of course for helping us pick your brains on where this market is going and the dynamics that will change this sector. Your time is highly appreciated. Very good. We've been talking about the real estate industry here in Kenya, the dynamics that are going to shape this market going into the future. And I gave you some very interesting statistics about where this market is going and where this market is coming from. O'Brien Kimani is my name. You're watching Bits Check. We are live from Broadcasting House. It's now coming to 10:56. We are taking a break.